Hey guys, I'm here with a deck profile for what I call my KingFusion deck since I haven't done Yu-Gi-Oh videos before. It's on a website called duelingnetwork.com. Basically just play online, Yu-Gi-Oh online, much as you want. But anyway, I figured I'd make a deck profile for this because I like to make original decks, or try to make original decks. Hardly any of them are any good, and I really try to stay as far away from the meta as possible because I don't know, I just kind of find it boring. I like to mix it up and use things I never see anyone use. So I found this card, King of the Swamp, and when I was making a Blue Eyes deck, and I figured out I could use it with Blackluster Soldier, the good version of Blackluster Soldier, better than that one that's limited to one, in my opinion, to make Dragon Master Knight, which is basically 5,000 beater who can also get 500 more attack for each dragon monster you control. Can only be fusion summoned, so no monster reborn there. Um, then I figured why not make a deck completely around this. And so I threw in Beast King of the Swamp, which basically is the same effect as King of the Swamp, except King of the Swamp is a little better because you can discard it to add a polymerization from your deck to your hand. I run two Beast King of the Swamps. I run Blowback Dragon. I run him because, well, if I can tribute summon him, his effect's pretty good. I'm pretty lucky with coin tosses. But he's really there to be fused to make Gatling Dragon, which is really good if your opponent has a swarm in the field with something. I do not recommend using him if your opponent has like one or even two monsters on the field, because his effect is once per turn you can toss a coin 3 times, destroy a number of monsters on the field equal to the number of heads. You do not want to, like, if your opponent has two monsters and you summon him to blow them both up, and you get 3 heads, you really don't have much of a choice. If he's your only monster, you have to destroy him too. There is no stopping. You have to toss 3, and you have to destroy the same number as heads. I run one Buster Blader so I can fuse for Dark Paladin, because if he gets attack for dragon monsters in the graveyard and on the field, and his good effect, you can discard one card and negate the activation of a spell card. Run one Elemental Hero Woodsman. I can use him for either of my two Elemental Hero fusions, or I can just have him for his effect to get polymerization. Goddess of the Third Eye is basically the same thing as King of the Swamp and Base King of the Swamp, just substitute for a fusion material monster. Two Krebons and one side blocker because I run Ultimate Axon Kicker, because I can substitute one of the King of the Swamps for a Psychic type Synchro monster. Same thing, I could also run that Supreme Arcanite Magician, but I don't really run many spellcasters, so I don't run any spellcasters actually in this build. I used to run Laura D. I run one Senju to help get BLS, and it's also a light target to use for Elemental Shining, because the King of the Swamp and all the others with the same effect can be used to substitute an Elemental Hero, or I can use them because these are water and this is light. So either way, if I have him, or if I just have a light target, or if I have, say, two Beast Kings, I can use them. I run the Calculator because, well, all these fusion monsters I can get out really easily or really high stars. I run Zombira the Dark. I mean, 2100 beater, but he can't attack directly, and he loses attack every time he destroys a monster. Not the greatest. But he's really there for the fusion, like most of the monsters in here. The last warrior from another planet. And this guy's has a pretty interesting effect. When he's summoned, you destroy all monsters on your field except him. As long as as long as it remains face up on the field, neither player can normal, flip, or special summon. That means all your opponent and you can do is set, as long as he's face up. Then I run 3 BLS. I know I run Lights and Darks, but I'm not running the Envoy BLS because that card is just too good. It wins by itself way too often. I don't want it in my deck because, I mean, I want to win with the way I built the deck, not, oh, I drew BLS and have Light and Darks in the graveyard. Barrel from Different Dimension, because, I mean, things get banished, mainly because of Dragon's Mirror, but also if they have D Prison or something. Dark Hole. 3 Dragon's Mirror, which is awesome because if I open up Polymerization, Dragon's Mirror, BLS, and any one of these, I can Polymerization, Dragon Master Knight, Dragon's Mirror, Dragon Master Knight. And if I also have Calculator in my hand, normal summon Calculator there's like, I think 7,800 attack calculator and 5,500 attackers. I mean, yeah, they have back row, but that's why I have stuff like Royal Decree and Dark Bribe. One fusion gate because it's nice to have. I mean, I'd rather use polymerization, so I have targets for Dragon's Mirror, but I mean, fusion gate's a pretty good card. I mean, I still run Burial, so I'm fine with banishing some. Heavy, Monster Reborn, 2 MSTs, 3 poly. I actually know something odd. This polymerization and this polymerization have different wordings in the effect. I don't really think it affects anything, but I just kind of find it funny they have the same name but different wordings. Pot Avarice, Rhoda, 2 Shards of Greed, which I haven't tested yet. I've just added these because I'm looking to add a little bit more draw power to this deck. I've thought about running Cyber Valley or maybe Card D. I don't know. Like I said, I'm still trying to make this deck to where it's usable and good and can go up against some of the more meta decks. 1 Dark Bribe. I used to run 3, but I mean, I'm trying to get it down to 40 cards, but I'm still up to 45. 1D Prison for things like Catastor. Catastor really hurts this deck unless I can get Dark Paladin's my only Dark Fusion, so Catastor really hurts this deck. Light of Intervention. I run this card for one reason. 2 reasons. I don't like Raikou, and if I have this on the field and the Last Warrior, you can't even set monsters. You better have some good back row. I mean, if you're playing a deck with no back row and I get this and the Last Warrior out, there's not much you can do. 1 Mirror Force, 1 Royal Decree, 1 Safe Zone. Safe Zone, I run 1 of it, again, because this guy's effect, if I Safe Zone like a Blue Eyes or not Blue Eyes Ultimate, a Dragon Master Knight, he won't be destroyed by Last Warrior's effect. I also run Safe Zone because it's just a good defensive card and has a lot of uses. For the extra deck, I run 1 Dark Paladin, 3 Draco Knight, or Dragon Knight Draco Equist, because I can substitute 1 for a Dragon Synchro monster, and I run a few warriors. I run, I think, 7 warriors. Also, side deck Super Poly, so if they do a lot of synchroing and they get Stardust out, I can just use their Stardust. Heck, I could use their Quasar if I can get them to negate something else first. His effect is, once per turn, I can select 1 Dragon-type Synchro monster in the graveyard and remove it from play, and I treat him as that card, basically same name, same effects, till the end phase. But I find this effect pretty interesting. While it's face up on the field, any effect damage you would take from an opponent's card effect is inflicted to your opponent instead. I run 3 of him, because I can get him out pretty easily with Dragon's Mirror. I run 3 Dragon Master Knight, because that's the main card of the deck, is to get Dragon Master Knight out, because 5,000 attack. I mean, unless you got some back row or a good monster effect, you're not getting over him with anything you can summon, unless you rearm Quasar and point for point. That'd be pretty nasty. 1 Absolute Zero. I run quite a few waters. I run 5 waters, 1 Elemental Hero, and then I also run about 8 cards I can substitute for an Elemental Hero. Shining, I run some lights, and same reason as Absolute Zero. Gatling Dragon, Last Warrior, Ultimate Axon Kicker, because this card's pretty awesome. Cannot be destroyed by card effects, piercing, and you get life points equal to the destroyed monster's attack. And I don't even need to use the Psychic type Synchro. Like I said, that's the purpose of this deck. King of the Swamps substitute. I also run 1 Super Dreadnought Cannon, or I run Gustav because Axon Kicker's level 10, Draco Knight's level 10. Actually, I had an OTK. I didn't have a record, but I do have a screenshot of it. I opened up Polymerization, King of the Swamp, BLS, Dragon's Mirror. Polymerization, 1 Draco. Dragon's Mirror, 2 Dracos. Normal Summon Calculator. And he had a Zen Mains on the field. He left in attack mode though, so I attacked it for game. But just in case he had a Gores or something, I summoned the Draco Knights instead of the Dragon Master Knight. Because if he still lived after my 3 monsters attack, because the calculator, that's 2 10-star monsters. So 6,600 attack calculator and 2 3,200 beaters. If I had Still not been able to finish them off somehow. I could main phase 2 overlay for Gustav. And that was a pretty fun duel. I felt kind of bad that I opened up that broken with this deck. But yeah, the problem with this deck right now is if you don't open up with a good starting hand, you really can't do much besides try to stall the best you can. And once you use your hand, and if they use your hand and go in and they do something to blow up your field, you really don't have an answer for that. I mean, I'm trying to run a couple Shards of Greed to... Wow, I timed out. Fail. Whoops. Sorry about that. I timed out and had to restart recording. But I was saying that once they blow up your field, you don't really have an answer for that. And I'm trying to run these Shards of Greed because I just need some draw power in the deck. I feel like it's a little slow once you use your hand up, because it takes quite a few cards to use this deck, and once they get rid of, if they can stop your play, you really don't have much to do. I mean, Polymerization, 2 fusion monsters, there's 3 cards out of your hand for 1 monster. Dragon's Mirror is pretty good because you can use your graveyard instead of your hand, but like I said, I mean, it's pretty good to be able to use 4 cards, a Poly, BLS, and one of the Swamp Kings or something, to get, and a Dragon's Mirror to get 2 5,000 attack monsters that boost each other, so it's 2 5,500 monsters. Or that's a free Gustav with 2 Draco Equists. But yeah, if you guys have any advice for this deck, feel free to leave it in the comments. And I guess that's pretty much it for now, so I'll see you guys next time.